Do you mind if I do a quick thing on tone of voice?
No, I want to hear it. Yes, go for it.
Okay. So tone of voice, really important. Strong-willed kids especially. I don't like the really sweet one. So a lot of moms will do this thing. Oh, sweetie, baby, mommy needs your help. And the strong-willed child hears that as weakness and condescension,
Yep.
right? And the child's basically hearing, I'm going to own you. You're afraid of me, right? Because what it really sounds like, and I don't want to offend anybody, is, sweetie, baby, you scare the crap out of me. Because every time I tell you to do something, you have a big meltdown. So if I talk in this sing-songy voice like a teenager, maybe, right? You've heard moms, and not
Yes.
being mean at all. It is the also mommy and daddy with a strong-willed child. I don't like referring to myself as, well, daddy needs your help. I talk to a strong-willed child like they're an adult, even a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Nope,
Yep.
it's not the way I'm rolling in the home. That is so settling to them when you talk in this even, matter-of-fact tone. The other ones that don't work are the pleading tone, right? Guys, you know what? All I'm asking for is a little bit of help around here. Well, now you're clearly weak and you're agitated. And
For
if I'm
sure.
strong-willed, I know how to push people's buttons. So when I hear weakness, it's like blood in the water for a shark. They're
Absolutely.
going for it. The after all I do for you, right? That's usually a generational pattern for a lot of moms.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I figure that is? It's manipulation.
Yes.
Because I've done so much for you, you now owe me to do your homework, to clean your room, right? There's a subtle manipulation in after all I've done for you. That's manipulative.
Reciprocation.
Yeah. And I always joke with moms, I'm like, look, your kids are never going to wake up and say, Mom, listen, I had a talk with my brother. We've determined you do way too much for us. Right? Like, no, people are going to take advantage of you because you're probably a people pleaser.
Yep.
Right? Those are the people at church who end up on every committee because that mom can't say no.
Correct.
And then they end up being the resentful person. How come nobody ever does anything for me? And for women, and so husbands, you know, if you have a wife who's doing that, realize that's a deeply held pattern inside of her. And you can come alongside of her and say, honey, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. You don't have to please everybody else. This is a great thing to tell your wife. You are not responsible for everybody else's happiness, because wives live with a terrible burden. So Casey, if I had had a daughter, she probably would have owned me to a degree. I know.
For sure. For sure.
Right? With my son, I had no problem saying, oh, you're disappointed? I am not moved. I have no problem with your disappointment. If you're unhappy right now, that's your choice, and I'm perfectly fine. Not in a cold way, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just say for husbands, help your wives relieve that burden, because wives go through their lives thinking, well, I have to make sure everything's okay. I have to make sure the kids are happy. Everybody's happy. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, and I want to make sure everything. And it's so much pressure. So for you to come along and put your arms around her and say, it doesn't have to all be great. It's okay if they're unhappy. Right. I'm not talking about suicidal, unhappy, depression. I'm just talking about disappointment. So, now I don't know where I was going with that. Jim, I get off track.
Well, you were talking about tones of voice. And
tone of voice.
And I appreciate the fact you said even keeled, matter-of-fact tone. And earlier in the podcast, you said, don't get personal. So to me, you have to link those two together, because when I take it personal, my tone changes, right? I become a negotiator, I become a whiner, I become a bargainer. So can you talk us through, because how does a man control his emotions so he doesn't get personal with a strong-willed child, yet has the ability to maintain that control and speak matter-of-factly to a strong-willed child?
Okay. Let me wrap this part up and we'll wrap right into it. So when the sweet kind doesn't work, that's when we usually do, you know what? You better get your little butt up. And why that doesn't work with a strong-willed child, 2 reasons. One is they tend to be fight or flight kids.
Oh.
So a lot of the strong-willed kids, the more you amp it up, they're like, bring it, dad. Right. And I always make the joke, I don't care if you're 6'4", 250 and jacked, I'll put $100 on the 5-year-old, because they'll just own you. right? No push. The other reason is this. When I become visibly irritated, what the child knows is my dad's out of control right now, and that means I'm in control. It also creates a lot of instability. Like I'm 7 or I'm 14, and this big guy in my home who's supposed to be my dad is out of control right now and can't handle himself, and I'm in control. That's a lot of instability, right? So in between sweetie baby, too sweet, and yelling and screaming is this. It's me in control of myself. Yes is my yes, my no is my no.
To hear the rest of the conversation, check out episode 614 of the Men in the Arena podcast called Calm Parenting, Discipline Without Anger.